Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward say QB duel, nothing extra, to Browns Titans. BEREA, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are always going to be linked because of the 2025 NFL Draft and the process leading to it. Now, they're going to be linked as the first two quarterbacks from that draft class to start in the same game. Although Ward and Sanders won't actually be on the field at the same time, their teams will be December 7th when the Tennessee Titans visit the Browns. Still, the two young quarterbacks' presence in the same game adds an intriguing storyline to a game matching a 1-11 team against a 3-9 team. It just doesn't add any extra juice for what either quarterback wants to accomplish when they're on the field. Nah, I think it's nothing extra within myself, Sanders said December 3rd. And I'm thinking, oh, like, just playing against another opponent, it's another week. It's a lot of great quarterbacks, week by week that we play against. So, I wouldn't say this adds anything. The matchup may not lead either quarterback to acknowledge extra motivation for the game. That's not to be mistaken for either of their natural competitiveness to come out. It may not be about Sanders versus Ward or Ward versus Sanders. But both know there's a score being kept, a winner ultimately determined, and their own personal performances under the microscope. I say anytime both of us are in the room, we're always competitive from throughout college, even in the pre-draft process, Ward told Nashville area reporters December 3rd. We just both want to be great players. I just think it's going to be exciting for just a lot of people to see what both of us would be able to do when we play at a high level. The two only played once in college, and even that was an abbreviated showdown. In his first year at Colorado in 2023, Sanders left because of an injury in the second quarter of a 56-14 loss to Washington State, the second of Ward's 3 college stops. Sanders has trained with Ward in the past. Their paths, though, have taken them in their own directions, even if it hasn't lessened the connection. Cam's competitive, Sanders said. It's always fun getting out there, training with him. And then we end up getting drafted and we both went our separate ways. That's really everybody that I played in college with. Almost everybody's focused on what they got to do. It's all love whenever we see each other. Both quarterbacks entered the NFL Combine last February, considered prime candidates to the number 1 overall pick for the Titans. A month later, after Ward's pro day at Miami, the narrative completely shifted, with Ward firmly seen as Tennessee's pick, while Sanders' spot was cloudy at best, with some thinking he could go as high as number 2 to the Browns and others thinking he could drop. Sanders ultimately fell all the way into the 5th round, where the Browns traded up to pick number 144 to select him. Ward said none of that past matters now that they're in their present situations. Really, everything happens for a reason, Ward said. God has a plan for myself, He has a plan for you. At the end of the day, you just got to continue to prove yourself right. Every time Sanders steps on the field, I know he's going to prove himself right. The same goes for me. So we just got to continue to stay in the everyday mindset of getting better, and not letting bad outcomes dictate the next day. The start of their NFL careers has been no different. Ward was almost instantly installed as the Titans' starting quarterback, and afforded all of the benefits, specifically in terms of on-field work in the off-season program, training camp and regular season practices, that come with that designation. Sanders, meanwhile, has spent much of the year just trying to climb up the ladder, from the number 4 quarterback in the off-season and training camp to number 3 for the first 5 weeks of the regular season before finally becoming the backup to fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel in Week 6. It was only after Gabriel was knocked out at halftime of a Week 11 game against the Baltimore Ravens with a concussion that Sanders' opportunity finally arrived. The cold air over Cleveland carried a strange kind of quiet, one that didn't match the brewing storm of storylines trailing behind the Browns-Titans matchup. On paper, it was a week-whatever NFL game between two teams clawing for relevance. In reality, it was something far richer: Shedeur Sanders versus Cam Ward, two quarterbacks cut from the new era cloth, born into spotlight, raised in pressure, and baptized in the transfer portal chaos of modern college football. And yet, when they stepped to podiums throughout the week, both men insisted the same thing. It's nothing extra. Easy to say. Harder to believe. But that's the game they played, one of poise, half-truths, and measured calm befitting quarterbacks who want the world to think they're unaffected by narratives that clearly orbit them like persistent satellites. Because no matter how composed they sounded, everyone watching knew this game was laced with subplots. And in the NFL, subplots have a way of exploding under the primetime lights. Shedeur, the heir with the spotlight built in. For Shedeur Sanders, the attention wasn't optional. It never had been. From Jackson State, to Colorado, to Cleveland, every step he'd taken seemed magnified by the twin shadows of his surname and the expectations that came with it. Some loved him, some doubted him, but none ignored him. This week, as reporters tried to poke at the Shedeur versus Ward narrative, he leaned back in his chair, expression unreadable. "It's just ball," he said. "Just another defense. Just another game." But the truth beneath the calm was more complex. Earlier in the season, the Browns had been drifting, moments of brilliance overshadowed by stalled drives, thin margins, and a locker room searching for identity. Even as a rookie, Shedeur found himself becoming the emotional ignition of the roster. A big play from him lifted everyone. A mistake weighed heavier than it should. This matchup against the Titans wasn't supposed to be a headline maker. But it became one because Shedeur had begun evolving, play by play, into the quarterback Cleveland had hoped for and the one the league was beginning to fear. And the Titans? They had one of the few rookies whose rise mirrored his. Cam Ward, the quiet flame. Cam Ward wasn't built of flash. He was built of grit, stat sheets, and long nights watching film until his eyes ached. He didn't have the magnetic aura of Shedeur, nor the father-named prime time, nor the weekly online circus that followed him from Buffalo's gear to Brown's orange. What he had was something just as powerful, a hunger that never turned off. The Titans had fallen in love with that. His leadership, stoicism, and constant, relentless belief that he hadn't proved anything yet. Tennessee gave him the reins early, and to the surprise of no one in their building, Ward handled it with veteran calm. "It's not about beating Shedeur," Ward told reporters. "It's about winning the game. Again, measured. Controlled. Predictable. The type of answer that lets you know a competitor is tightly sealed for the week, saving every ounce of real emotion for kickoff." But inside, Ward understood the weight. He and Shedeur weren't friends, but they'd orbited each other through recruitment cycles, draft boards, social media comparisons, and enough sports talk hypotheticals to fill cable networks. Their paths had finally converged, not in college, but under NFL stadium lights.